Hello, friends. If you're nosy and curious and you've always wondered what other people's small businesses' finances look like, then this is the video for you. And honestly, this is the channel for you. What are you doing? Subscribe already. Just kidding. Do whatever you want. Almost exactly a year ago, I quit my job and I started my own business. And recently on this channel, I made a video about all the different streams of income that I was able to earn in my first year of trading. Now, we know that the income that a business earns is only one side of the big picture. The other side is how much expenses you incur. You might earn six figures, but if you spend six figures just to run the business, you won't have anything left at the end of the financial year to keep for yourself. So in this video, I will share what I spent my money on in my first year of trading as a small business. Before we dive into the figures, hi, I'm Susie. I'm a finance director, an investor, and a business owner. And on this channel, I share about what it feels to own and grow a business while still enjoying life. If this is the sort of thing that you like, hit subscribe. Now, for context, if you have watched my video on my income streams, you will already know that I didn't make six figures. I made 5, which is absolutely fine. I'm going to link this video right up here somewhere. The main priority for me in this first year was to just settle into this new role as business owner and really figure out what kind of business I want to create, what kind of customer I want to work with, and what kind of life I want to lead. Earning income is a small part of what it takes to build a business. You also have to make sure that the kind of business that you're building is enjoyable to run, first of all. And also you have to make sure that it gives you quality of life. Surely you don't want to leave an employed job that you don't particularly like to get into your own business, which you also don't like running. My motto in this first year of trading has been slow and steady. Fast growth wasn't in my plans. Obviously, I wanted my business to earn me enough to make ends meet, but I never want to sacrifice my own mental health. Growing my income quickly was never in my list of priorities. And in terms of how I spent my money, I knew that this first year I had to put some resources into growing skills like marketing and copywriting and other things that I had never used in my employed job so far. Because as you know, when you start a business, you don't just cover one role, you cover many roles. Obviously, you have to be great in delivering the service that you offer, but also you have to sit in the back end of your business and run it. And so you kind of like have to wear many hats. And your responsibilities are not just to take care of your clients, but also to sell to them and market your services and strategically think about what the next step is. So without further ado, let's take a look at the figures and let's see what happened in my first year of being fully self-employed. So at the moment of shooting this video, it's about mid-March and my financial year is about to end. The last day of my financial year is the 31st of March. And so what I have displayed as my income so far is just under £56,000. That might be more because we still have about 3 weeks left in the year and I still have to raise a few sales invoices and I might still sell a few products here and there. But I think that I'm going to land between 56 and 60,000 pounds for the year. I like to divide my expenditure into 2 main groups of expenses. The first one is direct costs and the second one is overheads. So direct costs are all those costs that are directly connected with me delivering my offer. So I wouldn't incur those costs if I wasn't working, and I would expect those costs to grow if my income grows as well. So they are directly connected with the income that I earn. For me, I don't have that many direct costs. So I regularly work with a freelancer that helps me do some basic administration stuff for a client specifically. And so I pay them a little bit every month for them to deliver their work. And I would not be paying them if I didn't have that client. And so I consider them to be a direct cost. And all the other costs are costs that I incur, which I then recharge to the clients. So an example of that is their software subscription charges or any travel and accommodation costs that I incur on behalf of the client. I then recharge that back to them. And then I only have a little bit of a transaction costs. So transaction costs are, for example, Stripe fees. So those fees that you pay to the merchant in order to be able to take payment via card. So I do sell a couple of digital products, and as a result of selling them and taking payment online, I have to pay some of that income back to Stripe because they offer the service of accepting payment on the internet, basically. So that's also a direct cost. I would not be paying Stripe if I didn't sell stuff online. So the difference between the income and the direct cost is called the gross profit. So the gross profit is an indication of how profitable your offer is, of how profitable your service or your product is if you're a product-based business. So that's the difference between turnover or sales or revenue and direct costs. Sometimes you may refer to them to cost of sales. So all the direct costs that you incur as a result of selling your offer, if you deduct them from the income, you get the gross profit. In my case, my gross profit is just under £54,000, which is 96% of my income, which means that what I deliver is highly profitable. So my offer is highly profitable. That is kind of expected because I'm a service-based business. So I don't sell products, or the products that I do sell are digital. And there aren't very many cost of sales that are connected to selling a digital product. So my gross margin, and the margin is the percentage of the gross profit over your sales. What percentage of income is left after you deduct the direct costs? My gross margin is 96%, which is pretty high. And that's not uncommon, again, for the delivery of services, because the biggest resource that you employ when you are a service-based business is your own time, right? So that's my gross profit. But how much does it cost me to actually run the business? And this information is provided by the overhead costs. So those are the costs that you incur just to run the business. They are unrelated with the number of clients that you have, or the number of jobs that you have, or the number of products that you sell. Overheads are costs that you incur regardless. And for the purpose of this example, I have categorized them into these categories. We have some spend for marketing and website, and some various administrative costs, training costs, and my own salary. So for context, you should know that I'm running this business through a limited company, which means that I have incorporated a separate legal entity in the form of a limited company to separate the liability from my own, which means that the business is, legally speaking, a separate entity from me. If I employ someone, I'm not employing them directly, the business is employing them. There's different reasons why you might decide to incorporate a limited company to run your business. A big reason to incorporate is to separate the liability, which means that if anything happens, if things go bust, or something wrong happens, you're not personally liable for paying any debts that the business incurs. So people cannot persecute you individually for any damages that the business causes. And so you won't have to, sell your own house to cover for those costs. So that's what limited stands for. It's the liability that is limited. But also, and I can only speak for what happens in the UK, I'm not sure how it works in other countries around the world, but in the UK, if you earn beyond a certain threshold, it might be more tax efficient to incorporate and pay yourself through dividends. So what most business owners do in the UK is they incorporate the limited company, they put themselves on the company's payroll, and they pay themselves the tax-free allowance. So every year, people living in the UK have up to £12,570 that they can earn without having to pay any income tax on it. So most business owners pay themselves that amount through the business's payroll, and that amount can be deducted as a business cost in the business's accounts. And then the rest, they pay themselves through dividends. So dividends are a portion of the company's after-tax profits. So this means that the limited company, the limited business, needs to pay corporation tax on the profit that the business have, and then whatever is left after the company pays corporation tax can be distributed among the shareholders. And so the reason why many business owners in the UK do that is because dividends are paid at a lower tax rate compared to income earned in other ways. So that has been my strategy. I have paid myself the tax-free allowance through the company's payroll, and then everything else I have been paying myself through dividends. So looking at the overheads, about half of my overheads is my own salary, as I've just explained. And then the next biggest cost among my overheads is marketing and website. This is because I have invested quite a bit this year on two main things. First of all, I've paid someone to help me transfer my website to a new domain. And then second of all, very excitingly, and this is still kind of like in the works, but I am working with a brilliant designer to help me rebrand and to have like a nice brand refresh on the website, but also on my social media. So most of the money that I've already spent will have been towards that. And then the next biggest cost in there is training and memberships. So in here, you will see a total of just over £4,000. About half of that has gone towards my accounting qualification. So this year, I have decided to pick back up my accounting studies and finally get an official accounting qualification. It's not something that I necessarily need because you could say that I'm qualified by experience. I've been working in finance departments for about 13 years now, and I have gained enough experience for me to be employable even without a certification. But it's something that I started years ago, and I always want to finish what I start. I think it's going to be a great personal win for me to invest in myself. And also, I think a good opportunity to look at my blind spots, right? You never know what you don't know until you encounter it. And I think that studying through an official path towards a qualification is going to help me really complete my education on accounting and financial management. About £2,200 went towards a full year of access to training materials, which was kind of hefty, I have to say. It was kind of hefty, but, still worth it, right? And then the rest of it went into several courses and masterminds. I did a marketing course with a wonderful, fantastic Alice Benham, which I'm going to put over here. And that was all around creating a marketing strategy that works for me. I knew virtually nothing about marketing. Well, I knew what everyone knows about marketing, which is about, putting yourself out there and identifying your offer with clarity, etc. But I really needed someone to guide me through the practicalities of what that means. And it was really helpful to really clarify my messaging and to really understand with more depth who is the person that I'm trying to reach whenever I'm selling, and who is my ideal client and what I can do to put myself in front of their eyes. So some of that went towards that course. Then I also invested a little bit in copywriting courses. So for that, my best, trainer of choice is Laura Bale Gray. I'm going to put her over here. And she is just like the most amazing copywriter that I've ever encountered. She is, first of all, hilarious, but also she has this way of writing copy that is personable. And every time that I receive one of her emails, it feels like a friend is writing to me, and it's engaging and it's personal and it's funny. And so I have purchased several of her courses and her resources to train myself to be able to write better newsletters and to be able to really connect with people through my copy. And then all the other overhead expenditure is really just like random office stuff. So that is a membership to use a co-working space. That is some equipment for filming, such as this microphone over here and that ring light over there, my phone plan and all that sort of stuff. The last line is depreciation. Purchased this computer at the start of the year and also a new camera. And so those are the things that have been depreciating over the course of the year. And those were my overheads for the year. And so if we calculate the difference between my income and my expenses, we come to a net profit of just under £30,500. So you remember that the gross profit is the difference between the income and the direct costs, while net profit is the difference between the gross profit and the overheads. So the gross profit gives you an idea of how profitable your offer is, whereas the net profit gives you an idea of how profitable the company is as a whole. And you can see that my net profit margin is 54%. That means that of the income that I have earned, I have about 54% left at the end of the year. And then on that, I will have to pay corporation tax, which I estimate is going to be around £5,500. And so my after-tax profit is going to be just under £25,000. And that's what I will have left to pocket at the end of the financial year. This is a graph representation of my expenses. And I find it really fun to look at my expenses that way because it really gives me a clear idea of where my money went, essentially. So I wanted to invest in myself, in my skills, and I wanted to invest in marketing and my own visibility. And so you can see that the biggest chunks in there are my own salary, which I paid to myself, and also the marketing and the website, and also the training and the continuous professional development. So those are the biggest chunks of the expenses cake. Overall, I have to say that I'm pretty satisfied with this first year of trading. I had tons of fun. I was really able to enjoy the work that I did. And I really appreciated that I went at a pace that was comfortable to me while still pushing myself into areas that were completely alien. I was really outside of my comfort zone in terms of, again, posting on social media as myself and sharing insights about what I was doing. In all of my previous roles, I was in the finance department, which is usually like the most remote department in a company. Like nobody sees the finance department ever, other than whoever shares the office with them. You would say that the most visible departments are customer service and marketing and stuff like that. While the finance people are very, very hidden. Well, actually, this year I really had to push myself to show myself more, and I still have so much to learn, don't get me wrong, but I am happy with how I invested my money in this first year, and I'm excited to see what this first year of sowing the seeds will bring me in the future. If you are also a small business owner, I would really, really encourage you to look at your own accounts and do a similar exercise of saying, okay, so this is what I wanted at the beginning of the year. These were my core values and my ideal strategies at the beginning of the year. What actually happened? Seeing where your money went is a really great way to assess if you are living by the values that you set for yourself. For example, how can you claim to be a company that cares about their employees if you didn't spend any money on their well-being? And how can I say that I really wanted to improve myself in this first year if I didn't spend any money investing in my own skills and my own training? This is a great exercise to do. I would really encourage you to do it. This will come easier if you use an accounting software, but if you track your transactions on a spreadsheet, that's going to work just fine. You just need to get into the habit of doing your bookkeeping regularly so that at the end of the year, you will have a full picture of how your money came in and then how you spent it. And there you have it. That's how I spent my money in my first year of being fully self-employed. I really hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And let me know in the comments, if I gave you £10,000 to spend today on your business, how would you spend it? Thank you so much for watching. It was a pleasure to spend this time with you today, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.